Hey guys, what is going on? It is Ashton from Hemon Media Group, and I'm super excited that you guys are here. And we're going to dive into this training called Rapid Response Advertising Structure Training. The goal of this training is ultimately, hey, right now in this current day and age, crazy things are happening. This is 2020. Coronavirus is happening. Buyer behavior, buyer personas, buyer psychology is completely changing right now. And we're seeing this basically affect almost every industry in the market right now. And so my hope, my prayer, my hope is that you would watch this training and really get, hey, if I was running your ads right now as a media buyer who has over $40 million in spends a $50,000 plus per day or manages that much in almost every industry in SaaS, e-commerce, lead gen, B2B, B2C, I have boots on the ground right now of what is going on, what's happening, and here's my advice to you. If I was running the accounts, this is what I would do to try to rapidly get data, rapidly test new audiences, and ultimately try to control costs for you in this time. And I hope you can use this as a framework for you to implement today. This will be very practical, very step-by-step of what to do. And so let's dive in nonetheless into the training. So what I'm going to cover today, what is the ultimate goal of advertising structures in the first place? Why are advertising structures important? How should you think about them? And then once you understand the structures and why I set them up the way they are for specific reasons, from that, my hope is that you'll also think of new ideas, creative ways to optimize off of these structures. Please note that all of the information I'm going to give you today is from my best understanding, education, my advice. However, every single ad account in Facebook is different. The reason for that is there are so many ad accounts. Facebook is constantly updating them, optimizing the algorithm in efforts to give better results to advertisers like yourself or media buyers. However, they don't roll these updates out or across all accounts at one time. They do these in phases, in sections, account by account. And so, what might work on my account doesn't work on your account. And so what I am going to do is make sure that I'm not giving you information that has only worked on one account, but from structures and principles that I have seen across multiple accounts, multiple industries at different times. And so just keep that in mind. I'm going to talk about secrets to the structure, right? Things to look out for when you're setting these structures up. Next is frameworks you can actually implement today. I'm going to give you the framework of exactly, how many ads should go into the campaign, how many ads should go in it, what kind of budget style should you have in there, and then what is the objective of each campaign. Then I'm going to give you retargeting magic. I actually thought about holding this out, but in efforts to help you in your business in this time, I'm going to actually give you that training inside of it. So one of the last slides, I'm going to give that to you. So without further ado, I am Ashton Shanks, the Savage Media Buyer. Let's jump into the rapid response advertising structure training. So starting out, what is the ultimate goal of advertising structures? So ultimately, the advertising structure the structure's only purpose is twofold. There's two reasons. One, to help the Facebook algorithm optimize correctly and efficiently. So Facebook runs off an auction-based system, and it uses AI and machine learning to deliver your ads. You might or might not have known that every single ad you see on the news feed is there because it won in an auction, and it competed against thousands of other ads that were actually targeting you, looking to give an ad to you. But that ad actually won the auction, beat the other ones out, whether that was quality of the ad. Facebook thinks that ad produces more positive engagement, more positive user experience, or they're actually outbidding. There's a number of reasons why an ad beats other ads in an auction, but that's the first reason why the structures are going to be set up the way they are. Is ultimately, me as a media buyer, I want to feed Facebook with as much valuable data as possible so that Facebook can optimize. And their algorithm is extremely, extremely good. It is smarter than everyone watching this training combined. It does hundreds of thousands, if not millions of calculations a second, and it is always, always optimizing and growing and learning. So that is the reason number one. Reason number two is actually to help you as the advertiser to systematically optimize your strategy. A different method that I use compared to most people is I like to treat us as data receivers, right? I don't like just throwing things out into the wind and hoping it works. That works great in some marketing where you just throw it against the wall and see what happens. You know, you got to deliver an offer to the market and see what sticks. But when it comes to media buying, I like to be as systematic and as scientific as possible when doing the media buying. Now, reason for this is one, I think that's ultimately the media buyer's job, is to be that data-driven, hungry savage for the data, to analyze, interpret, and optimize off of it. We're never satisfied with the results we have. But reason number two is that I think ultimately, if you can systematically go through something, it's going to help you as a media buyer better understand your market, how to deliver, fulfillment, customer service, all of that. And so I'm data hungry, yes, but also whenever I run accounts that spend 20 plus K a day, or they are spending over $1 million a month, things can get very messy very fast. And so if you are not systematically going through it, then it can get very, very messy. So the key here is to consistently ask, does this structure best serve me and Facebook to interpret and analyze the data correctly? Right? So this goes back to the feedback loops. Am I getting the correct feedback loops on the data that I'm seeing? Is this actually helpful? So some people, what they might do is they just kind of lump everything together, and if it works, awesome, but they don't know why. If it fails, oh no, but they don't know why. And so if you're not systematically going through your advertising, then things can get confusing, or even worse, you could be doing well and not know why, or you can be failing and not know why. So those are the reasons. It's a slippery slope to have a confusing account, really, with hundreds of ad sets. Once you lose clarity on the account, you lose clarity on how to optimize and scale. And we do not want to be there. So the reason I'm showing you these structures, there might be better structures out there. I'm not sure. But what I do know is that these structures really, really help me as a media buyer to spend massive amounts of money and get, not to be braggadocious, but get some of the best results I've ever seen in the industry. I've competed against the best agencies, the best media buyers, and I win pretty much every single time. So these are hopefully to help you dive into the systematic brain of media buying, and so that you can know, even if you're losing, exactly why you're losing. If you're winning, you know exactly why you're winning. Even better, you know how to scale it because you knew why it was winning. So next, I'm going to dive into the structures to optimize and glean as much data as possible. I'm going to give you 4 campaigns today. 4 campaigns that you can launch right away, set them for midnight, and launch these. And with reasonable certainty, you can at least know the principles and structures of these campaigns are good. The first campaign number 1 that you launch might not work. The first campaign number 3 that you launch might not work, but these structures are correct, are good, and are principally sound. So if it doesn't work, change something up, try again. Change the starting budgets, change some of the interests that you have, maybe change the optimization window that you have, maybe add in some bid caps. If it starts spending too much, add in some bid caps to control the cost. So I'm going to go over these 4 campaigns. The 4th one, again, it shows caveat. There's no caveat. I canceled the caveat. I want you guys to have every single campaign inside of this. So no caveat. I'm going to show you campaign number 4, and we're going to dive in. So campaign number 1. Campaign number 1 is cold interest and behaviors. The goal inside of this campaign is to find the sophistication and awareness levels of your market. There's a couple of ways you can find this because of the way the campaign's set up. I'll go over that here in a little bit, but first I'm going to go over the structure. Campaign number 1, 10 plus ad sets, right? You can have 10 ad sets if you'd like, but I'd really encourage you, if you have the budget, go 10 plus, especially if you don't already have interests and audiences that work. If you do, campaign number 1 is not necessarily important for you to do. You don't necessarily have to do this if you already know which audiences work. What I would say then is, if you know the audiences that do work, do a structure similar to this, but focus more on the ads themselves. Okay, and I'll go over that in a second. But campaign number 1 campaign, 10 plus ad sets, 2 to 3 ads per ad set. Okay, 2 to 3 ads per ad set. Ideally, they are going after different sophistication levels or different tactics, meaning you have what's called indirect ads and direct ads. Indirect is typically like storytelling, or you're educating more or demonstrating authority more, and you're not really specifically giving them the bottom line, right? An example of a direct ad would be 50% off any order over $50. Click here to get your product today, right? That's a direct ad. It's not trying to almost skirt around the bush. It's direct to the point, telling them exactly what you want them to do and what you're going to give them. It's very direct. Indirect is the opposite. You're going maybe more storytelling. Maybe you're more trying to get them to think of the solution that they need. Oftentimes, this is where more long-form copy ads come into play. It's very popular in lead generation and non-e-commerce based businesses. Indirect. So what you might do is one indirect, one direct, and maybe one that's a mix. Or maybe one, if you're in a lead generation space, I would probably encourage 2 indirect. Maybe one is story-based. Another one is, you're handling your biggest objection, or it's demonstrating authority with a call to action. Third one is going to be, try direct. See what short copy will do. Give a very quick, gimmicky hook. Make your headline curiosity and or benefit driven, and then have your hook, have quick bullets of benefits, call to action, right? That's a direct ad. I've seen those do very well, but indirect I've also seen do very well. So test those out, but 2 to 3 ads is what you want in each one. Targetings, what you're going to target is, this would be interest-based. So you're not going for lookalikes yet. This would be interest-based. Best interest that I would encourage you to do is influencers, books, softwares, or behaviors. These are the things that typically do very, very well. Also competitors, of course. I didn't even add that in, but competitors would be a big one that I didn't have in here. But, this is all about trying to find the segments of market that convert, really, that ultimately that sync with your vibe. And what you can do actually is, once you start finding the influencer or the book or software behaviors or competitors that are doing well, what I really encourage you to do is go research that interest, right? If your interest, let's say, is Tony Robbins, very easy one. If your interest is Tony Robbins and Tony Robbins crushes compared to other interests for you, go research Tony Robbins followers. Go to his page. Go to his groups. Go to his book reviews on Amazon. Go to his YouTube videos. Go as many places as you can where that interest is, and research the market. What do they want? What's their sophistication, their awareness levels? What is their pains that they're feeling? Understand that market better than anything, and then go create ads based on which interest is doing best, right? Let's say it's software. Let's say HubSpot is a credible software interest for you to target, and it's doing very, very well. Go research HubSpot. What blogs? There are tons of blogs about HubSpot. Go find out who the people are commenting on those blogs. Go to YouTube, where it's comparison videos, right? Or done for you videos where they have instructionals and stuff like that. Look at the comments. What are people saying? What are the pains that they're having? Why, especially comparison videos where they're comparing one software versus another. Go to the comment section. You'll see the people who are raving fans of HubSpot scream why HubSpot's so good. Find out what they're saying. What are their pains? Go to Facebook groups. Go to reviews. As much as you can, dive in. I'm sorry I'm speaking so fast. I want to make sure I get through all this training for you. It's a rapid response, so I'm going to be rapid today. So fast. But this is all about finding the pockets of your market. And then once you find those pockets of the market, go research, find better angles, better hooks, better headlines, because in the campaign number 2 and 3 and 4, it's really, really going to help to have that information. So this does really, really well. Low to mid budgets. So what this means is, these are your like $10 a day, $15 a day, $20 a day budgets. Heck, if you can do $50 a day, that's even better. The more data you get, the better and the faster it is. And I'm sure that, time is of the essence right now for you and your business or whatever, or for your clients' businesses. So The higher you can go, the more you can spend on this research phase, the better. And the goal is speed. I'm all about speed and media buying. Speed is important, making decisions quickly. So what you don't want to do is set this up, let it ride for 5 days. And then at the end of 5 days, you haven't been intently making decisions or trying new audiences. So you want to do, speed is important here. Okay. Objective, find prospecting audiences and gain insight to do further market research. Cool. Next campaign. Campaign number 2, lookalikes. It's going to be a consolidated account structure. So what this means is you're trying to, rather than segment so much like we did in campaign number 1, you're trying to actually combine as much as you can to give Facebook more room to optimize. And ultimately, right now, that's what Facebook wants. They want to optimize as much as possible, or have as much room to optimize as possible. They believe their pixel and their algorithm is so good that it can actually optimize better than us. And to be honest, most of the time that's true. I believe most of the time that's true. I believe the days of kind of manually hacking your way through Facebook's algorithm is not really around anymore. So this is consolidated account structure. So 1 campaign, 3 to 5 ad sets, 2 to 3 ads per ad set. And actually what I'd encourage here is maybe a CBO. You can actually try it with or without, but I'd almost actually encourage CBO in this account structure. That's kind of the whole idea of a consolidated account structure, is again, allowing Facebook to optimize between the ad sets. If you don't know what I'm saying when I say CBO or ad set budgets, please go YouTube it. It's very easy to pick up on. Facebook has a ton of articles on it. I don't want to dive too much into that stuff because I want this to be speed and beneficial. And so the quicker I can get off this training, the quicker you can get back into your business and building it and optimizing it and thriving ultimately in this time. I believe in this time it can thrive very good if you're smart, if you're adaptive, and you're quick to make decisions. So campaign number 1 campaign, 3 to 5 ad sets. This is a CBO budget, 2 to 3 ads per ad set, just like before, 2 to 3 ads per ad set. And really, again, you're going to try to find the best ads that you found in the campaign number 1, right? And then if you found the best ad, right, it's beating all the other ones by far. Let's say indirect ad number 1 is beating indirect ad number 2, indirect ad number 3. Awesome. In this campaign, create ads that are very similar to that ad style. Whether it's the angle that you went with, the objection that you handled, the style of the story, whatever it is, optimize off of it. Make a better test a new headline, test an angle, test a hook, which is the top line of that copy. Maybe test a new image, new videos, things like that. So, and then targeting, you're going to target lookalike 1%. And you don't have to follow this, but these are ones that I've seen do very well. It changes by a lot of accounts, but typically, on principle, these are the best lookalikes that I do see. Lookalike 1%, lookalike 3%, 5%, and 10%. Now, even better, if you have the data that you can do what's called a super ad set, or what Facebook calls a super ad set, which means stacking the lookalikes. What this means is, let's say, for example, if you don't know how to create a lookalike audience, go to YouTube. It's right there. It's free. It's easy. Boom. Go there. Come back. Stacked lookalikes is meaning when you add more than one lookalike audience into a custom audience, the targeting section inside of the ads manager, right? So what this could mean is you have a lookalike 1% of purchasers or leads, right? You have a lookalike 1% of applications, right? Or page visitors. You have a lookalike 1% of engagers, a lookalike 1% of Instagram engagers, a lookalike 1% of people who've messaged the page, a lookalike 1% of people who added to cart, right? You have all these different audiences that you can create of lookalikes, stack them together. And one caveat I would say to keep in mind is whenever you're creating lookalikes, think to yourself, would people who look similar to this audience be a good audience for me? For example, there are some clients that I have that have multiple style of offers within their company, right? But it all facilitates under one name. So a lookalike 1% of all engagers might not be a good audience because it'd be combining 2 different offer audiences into one, which might not be that good. But what you can do, like of website visitors, for example, let's say you want to create a lookalike 1% of website visitors, but you have, one, they could go to this this section of the website, and it's a completely different audience than this one. So what you want to do is just add in like all website visitors, but then add the caveat of URL contains, enter that of whatever that specific audience you want. So stack the lookalikes, right? Try to get, 4 to 7 lookalikes stacked. The more data you're giving Facebook, typically the better. Just make sure that they are higher quality audiences, stack those together, and then just make sure you exclude from each other, right? So what this means is, ad set number 1 might be a lookalike 1% of purchasers, and it's a stacked 1%, right? Then ad set number 2 is the lookalikes of 3%. But what you want to do is actually inside of that, right below when you're adding the custom audiences or adding the lookalikes, there's an exclude option. Hit the exclude and then add in all of the 1%, right? Because what this means is that way you're not telling Facebook, hey, in ad set number 2, target, everyone inside of ad set number 1, because you already have an ad set targeting those people. Okay. I really hope I'm making sense. But basically you want to tell Facebook, it's like, let's say this is 1% and this is a 3%. If you're doing a 3%, go ahead and exclude the 1% because your ad set number 1 is already going after the 1%. Okay, so do this for all of. I'm having trouble hearing you. My watch just went off. Exclude all of the lookalikes from each other so that you can minimize overlap inside of the campaign, which basically means you're minimizing the auction competition. So you're making sure you're not going against other of your ads inside of the auction. You don't need to compete against yourself. But 2, also it prohibits overlap where you're not just remarketing to the same people because they're inside of the same audience over and over again, right? So exclude all the lookalikes from each other. And this is going to be a mid-budget campaign, right? For everyone, mid-budget is going to be different. Typically on these, I really love, a starting budget of a 156, or if this is CBO really, what you can do is at a minimum, do your conversion cost, right? So let's say, your conversion per, lead or whatever you're optimizing for is $10, right? $10. So that means your CBO budget would be about $500 a day. Okay. Now, for some people, that's not doable, right? So what I would say is divide it by 2. Could you go to 250, right? Could you do that? But as much as you can, ultimately, try $100 if you can do that. But again, the idea is the more data that you get, the faster, the more you learn, the quicker. And it's also, it's way less optimal for Facebook to optimize when you're giving them 5 ad sets, right, with a massive audience, but you're giving them a small budget. It's really, really hard for them to optimize quickly or efficiently at that side. So again, I would, as much as you can, but the optimal area is 5 times your conversion cost per ad set. Hopefully I didn't just confuse everyone, or hopefully I'm just not saying something dumb. It's been a long day. I wanted to make sure I got this training done for you guys. So anyway, do that math. It's 50 conversions per week by ad set. So find out that math, and that would be your starting optimal budget. Next, So next on this, test new angles, hooks, headlines, creatives as well. Really, really, really what you want to do in these guys is really just make sure that you are split testing the headlines, hooks, creatives. The goal of this is how can you make your ads even better, and these audiences should do fairly well for you. So that's ultimately the goal with campaign number 2. Campaign number 3, lookalikes layered with best interests. This is a Power 5 / account consolidation structure. This is really, really, really where Facebook wants most people. Now, it doesn't work on every single account. However, I can tell you it does work a lot of the time. I would say about 8 to 9 times. I'd say about 7 to 8 times out of 10, this structure will do very well for you if you've taken the steps previous to make sure your audiences are locked in, you know which lookalikes perform best, and you have the ads that perform well to your market, your target audience. So this is one campaign, CBO budget, 3 to 5 ad sets, dynamic creative optimization. That's what that DCO stands for. If you don't know what that is, you can YouTube it. You can actually turn it on the ad set level when you're setting up your audiences, and then you can add in all your stuff on the ad level. So ad set number 1, best lookalikes stacked. Okay. So if your best one, let's say you did the campaign before, well, you had a 1, 3, 5, and 10%. And example for this, let's say the 3 failed, right? Duplicate, change to a stacked look-alike 2%, right? Let's say the 5% failed, duplicate it, do a stacked 7%, right? Keep testing. But anyway, you find the best lookalikes, and you put that in ad set number 1. Okay, so if lookalike 3% stacked was your best audience, put that in ad set number 1. Put all of the ones that you used in the previous ad set that performed very, very well. Put those in. It says exclude best interest. I'm going to get that to a second because that's what you do at the end. Ad set number 2 is best interest stacked, right? Okay, so let's say in campaign number 1, you found that influencers were your best, right? You had several influencers inside of it, or maybe you had it microed out, right? Maybe you had Tony Robbins, Gary Vaynerchuk, Tai Lopez, and you noticed that Gary Vaynerchuk was an incredible one, and another one was Robert Kiyosaki, right? So you had 2 different interests do very, very well. You're going to stack those into ad set number 2, okay? Put the best interest. Maybe you had some software that did very well. Maybe you had books that did very well. Put those all together in ad set number 2. And then number 3 is best lookalikes layered with best interests, okay? So going back to the exclusions, now that you've added your best lookalikes, what I want you to do, you've added your best lookalikes in ad set number 1. What I want you to do is exclude those lookalikes that you used in ad set number 1 in ad set number 2, right? So you're going to go to your ad set, you're going to go to the exclusions, and you're going to add in all of those lookalikes. Again, this is to prevent overlap and competition between the CBO structure, as well as because it's CBO, you're allowing Facebook to send money between the ad sets. You don't need the same person in 2 ad sets. You just need them in 1 because Facebook will send it to that person if they think it's going to convert. So exclude your lookalikes in ad set number 2. In ad set number 1, you're going to exclude all the interests that you had in ad set number 2, right? So when you go to add in detailed interest targeting, underneath it, or like you have narrow, right, where you can add a layered interest, but there's also one that says exclude. Okay, if you hit exclude, you can exclude the interests that you have in ad set number 2. And what that'll do again is remove the overlap, remove the competition that ad set number 1 and ad set number 2 could have. Ad set number 3 is actually layering those 2 things. So you're going to add the stacked lookalike audience that does well, and you're going to actually layer in, you're going to add in the interests that did very well for you in the interest section. So when you see the ad set, you're going to see stacked lookalike at the top, and then in the interest section, you're going to see the interests that you have in ad set number 2, right? So this is actually layering. So you're almost telling Facebook, like, this is a narrow channel that I want you to look at because people in both of these audiences do very well. I want you to go after them. There actually is a 4th ad set that you could add to this type of structure that is a give or take for me. And this is a completely broad demographics-based ad set. So that would mean you have 4 ad sets. What that basically means is you would go in and you would, let's say, your ideal market is between the ages of 24 and 37, right? You just know that those areas do very, very well. What you're going to do is narrow the age range to those areas. If you know males do far better than female, awesome. Make it male only. If male and female do okay, right? They're not super separated. Make sure it's both. But then what you're going to do is you're going to exclude your lookalike audiences that you use in ad set number 1, and you're going to exclude the interests that you have in ad set number 2. You're going to exclude both of those. Basically, you're saying, Facebook, I've already told you to go target those people in other ad sets. I want you to find new people inside of the 4th ad set. Now, sometimes this one will get out of control because you're giving Facebook so much room. They're finding cheaper impressions, but maybe not necessarily cheaper conversions for you. So if it does get out of control, that's when I throw in bid caps to control the bleed, control the cost, right? So let's say you're really looking for $10 and you get it consistently on other ad sets at $10 per conversion or less, right? Ideally it's less. Then in ad set number 4, what you might do is throw in a bid cap or a cost cap. I preference bid cap. I think it gives you more room, but then you could put a bid cap at $12, right? Because you're saying, Facebook, I'm giving you so much room, but what I really want is I don't want you to go bidding crazy amounts for these other auctions. Cap the bid at 12, and then I'll keep that ad set from spending too much. Cool. Basically, the objective is scale campaigns with previously used performers and can use bid caps to control costs, like I just mentioned. Campaign number 4, this is retargeting. Okay, this is where a lot of the magic really happens, and it's very important. You're hyperactive in managing this part of your account because this is gonna require more refreshing, more creative ideas, more really winning them over, because that's what you're doing here. This is one campaign, CBO, 4 ad sets, 3 ads in each ad set. Okay. So in this, what you want to do is do surveys, feedback loops, or whatever you can think is the biggest objections that people have for not buying your product, right? So I'm going to make an ad set number 1 of engagers, view contents, leads, or purchasers, whatever is most important to you, last 3 days. And I'm going to do it last 7 days for ad set number 2, last 20 days for ad set number 3, last 45 days for ad set. I didn't change the number. Ad set number 4 is 45 days. Okay. There is way more you can do for retargeting, but again, the whole idea of this training is rapid response. What would I do if I needed immediate, quick turnaround, or if I needed quick implementation? This is what I would do. Okay, there's way more you can do. I encourage you to do more, but when we're just thinking about bare minimum, I don't have all the budget in the world. What would I do? This is it. So the first ad set is last 3 days of engagers, view contents, and leads and purchasers. View content meaning they saw a website, they got pixeled somehow by seeing a page. Last 3 days, what I'm going to do here, these ads are going to be all about the quick offer and the reminder, right? So the quick offer could be, hey, come back and complete your purchase and get free shipping. If if you come back and convert in the next 48 hours, you'll get free shipping on your order when you use promo code blank. Or it's just reminding them, hey, you almost completed your order, or hey, you almost signed up for the webinar, or hey, you almost you finished the webinar, but you didn't fill out the application. You're reminding them of what they did. This is the first 3 days. 3 different ads. Try to go 3 different angles if you can, specifically, especially on the headline and video. Or image. I really encourage video because it gets them to know your face, your brand, your company, and builds more trust. So if you can, 3 different videos, maybe going at slightly different angles or environments, backgrounds, whatever. That's number 1. Number 2 is the last 7 days, right? And what you want to do is you want to exclude the first 3 days from the last 7-day ad set. So that way you're not just hitting people over and over again with the same ad. Create the audience in audiences. You can create custom audience. Do last 7 days and then add that audience in. And then what you'll do in your custom conversion or custom audience, because you've already created the last 3 days, exclude the last 3 days. So that way, anyone in the first 3 days doesn't get your ads from ad set number 2. So anyway, it'll be the same for all the other ad sets. Ad set number 2 is going after objection handling and sweeten the pot, right? Just as sweeten, but sweeten the pot. Okay. What is their biggest objection, right? Is it price, right? What can you offer them to make price better? Or what can you add in to sweeten the pot, right? Hey, if you sign up today, you'll also get an exclusive training from me on this, right? Or if sign up today for for something for me would be perfect. It's like sign up today and I'll give you my ad frameworks that I use to spend $50,000+ a day. But if you come back and register right now, or if you come back and do this action, I'll also give you a step-by-step training of actually how I implement it and give you a case study to see it in action, right? So sweeten the pot or handle their biggest objection. Asset number 3, this is a kind of a big jump, right? They haven't converted in the first 7 days, so you have a longer cycle. Last 20 days, a different frame. What this really means is come at it from a different angle, right? You've been coming at them, you see the customer in this specific way, but there actually most of the time is a completely different way that you can look at their problem, what they're trying to do, or what held them up, or who they are as a person. Come at a completely different frame, right? So maybe you're coming at from the authority standpoint in the first and second ad set. You're coming in, you're demonstrating that you have proof, case studies, social proof, all the revenue in the world. You're really proving that you know what you're talking about. Maybe ad set number 3, you actually come about it and talk about the struggle, right? Completely different frame. You're giving them a new side of your brand or business. And really this kind of, maybe the authority standpoint is not appealing to them. So you need to come at them from a different angle. That's what ad set number 3 is for. Ad set number 4, that says 3, but it's really 4, is last 45 days, right? So they haven't converted in the first 20 days. It's 45 days. What you want to do is brand building and trust. Okay. So either they do not like your product or is not a right time for them. So what you want to do is gain their trust or show them why they should follow you long term, right? Because at this point, they're not converting. So they either don't trust you or they don't like your product or it's not the right time for them. So really what you want to do is show them a new side of the business. Why should they love your business regardless whether or not they're actually going to convert? Okay. Start brand building. If you had time, what I would probably do next is, start layering in from days, really from days like 15 to 45 plus. I would probably sprinkle in some direct response, get them to take action on something to get themselves back into your funnel, right? So ultimately, that's probably what I would do on retargeting. Be sure, again, to exclude all the audiences from each other so that it's not a nightmare and they're not just getting hit over and over and over again with your retargeting ads. Keep an eye on your frequency that you're getting. On retargeting, I really don't like to go above a 5 frequency. But sometimes, man, even at 5 frequency, it converts very, very well. But just keep an eye on it. If it's doing a frequency of 5, that means someone's seeing that ad 5+ times. Or seeing it 5 times rather, then you probably just want to get new creative, new video, whatever, even if it's in the same lane, the same angles, just get some new angles, new headlines, or new videos, whatever, get it fresh in front of them. And this is low to mid budget, right? Retargeting, I encourage people to spend about 15 to 25% on retargeting. Sometimes if you have a really big top of funnel, then your retargeting actually goes higher. It can be around 30, 35%. But it's all about your business and what is affordable to you and what you really know. If you do not have a big top of funnel, and you haven't built your audiences, then you don't need massive retargeting because you don't have much to retarget. So low to mid budgets, your goal is to handle objections, convert on the fence people, and then build brand authority to people who are not ready to buy right now. So that is retargeting. If obviously a big part of this is structured. There's ads, right? How do you write the ads to go inside of each of these ads or each of these ad sets and these structures? How do you utilize it? Well, I actually have a flow for this. You can review it right here. It's very, very simple. This is the simplified condensed version. But I actually have a full training. I think it's about 45 minutes inside the Architects of Direct Response group. If you go to units, go to copywriting, you'll see the power of storytelling training in there. It's free. It's my gift to you. Please go get it, watch it, study it, and then implement it. I'm going to give, if you thought this was practical where it's, step by step, this training is all about being practical, step by step. Why do we have a hook? What's the pain? How do we lay out the format of it? It's very, very, I put some work into it, so I hope you enjoy it. But if you need help writing the ads themselves, go to that training, enjoy. Again, from Hemon Group to you, my hope is that you found value in this training, that you can utilize it in your business. Of course, reach out to me if you need help. But we're here for you. Let us know in the group what you thought. If you enjoyed this training, you found value, please, please, please drop a comment in this video section and let me know what you thought. It really means a lot to me. Obviously, this is no strings attached, but it means a lot, and it also helps me know what kind of content to build next. I'm here for you. I've got your back with Ashton with the Hemon Media Group. Have a great day. Cheers.